When I was 17, I wanted to go to a for-profit university called Full Sail to get a degree in video game design. My high school college counselor laughed in my face when I told her this, like I said my retirement plan was to raise the price of insulin and told me that wasn't an option. Now, if you don't know, for-profit schools don't reinvest profits back into the institution like most schools. They put tuition money toward marketing and recruiting to maximize shareholder value. In other words, you usually pay more to get less. But that wasn't even the reason my counselor got the giggles. She said, that's a stupid major because there won't be any jobs in the industry. Really went full Oracle of Delphi on that one. But she was right, just for the wrong reasons. And remember this because there's gonna be a quiz later. Hey boys and girls, welcome to Mimir's Caveat Corner. This video assumes you've already made the decision to go to college, but that is absolutely not the best decision for everyone. If there's interest, I can talk about whether to even go to college in a later video. Now, I received lots of cliches dressed as advice during the end of high school. There's always room at the top, or do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, or that golden oldie, follow your passion. But even if at 17 you had one singular passion that was easily translatable to a career path, I would encourage you to think hard before signing anything in blood unless that passion was something that grants you a money printing license like orthodontia. More likely you have multiple interests. Maybe you're only really passionate about botany. Or, most commonly, you have no idea what you want to do. And the whole not knowing thing doesn't get any better. 80% of undergrads switch their major at least once, and the average American changes careers like the Human Torch's mood ring. No, I mean, there's no great data on the matter, but the first Google search says 5 to 7 times, so... Finally, let's talk about everyone's favorite anxiety, student debt. Most students leave with about $30,000 of debt, though depending on factors like the major or school, that could be much more. Just for hee-haws, I checked how much that video game design degree program costs today. It's $94,000. So, why was my college counselor right that a video game design bachelor's from Full Sail was stupid? Flexibility. While there was a time in my life I truly believed I would have loved to work through crunch for middling pay, I also once thought that the monsters under my bed wouldn't be able to get me if my feet were totally covered by the blanket. And leaving with deep debt and a parochial degree in work experience would have made digging myself out of that hole a prodigious challenge. When you change careers, you can typically pivot either function or industry, but it's hard to do both. For example, let's say I'm Jon Snow. Okay, here I am, Jon Snow. My industry is security and my function is knowing nothing. It would be far easier to know nothing in a different industry, like, say, baking, or perform a different function in security, like camera technician, than it would be to become a camera technician for a news studio. Make sense? What the f*** am I gonna do with a video game design degree, 3 years at Nintendo, and $94,000 of student debt? Flexibility is key when you're still deciding what you want to do. And there's no objectively correct way to define flexibility, but you could roughly break it down into a few categories. Financial freedom, career mobility, work-life balance. Think of career mobility as degrees that can easily be applied to numerous career paths like business administration. Financial freedom is easy, and work-life balance affords you a generous amount of spare time to pursue your own projects. There's intersection between these, and you could hit all three, but it's reasonable to assume you may have to make trade-offs at some point in your career. And while no single mixture is necessarily better than others, if I had to rank them, I'd say financial freedom, work-life balance, career mobility. Let me explain why. Right now, my YouTube isn't even a side job, it's a hobby. But let's say it was my passion and I wanted to make it my full-time career. The first thing I would do is stop drinking. Then, assuming I was of sound mind and still wanted to proceed, I would use my income from work to transition into pursuing my passion full-time. I'd pay for thumbnails. I could hire an editor to manage the channel and record raw footage on nights and weekends. Maybe I'd look for a manager to oversee sponsors. After whatever other additions to the production process and enough YouTube traction, I could quit my job and use my savings to pay the bills while I make the channel more profitable. This is a slight oversimplification, but what I like about this method is that it's safe and it can be applied to any passion. With a surplus of cash flow, you can create scalable processes and essentially buy yourself more free time by offloading tasks. Money, time, mobility. That is, of course, assuming my YouTube content is of the same quality in a vacuum. If my channel was like the fourth gift of the Magi and playing my videos unloaded the dishwasher, then yeah, maybe I would want to prioritize more free time so I could just keep putting content out there. Like and subscribe if that's the case. And there will always exist whatabouts that break this example and people for whom this simply does not apply. For instance, if I knew 100% that I wanted to teach at some level, but I didn't know exactly how, an English bachelor's could be perfect for me. This maximizes mobility and I could teach literature, language and grammar, poetry, whatever, to different age ranges. But chances are you don't know 100%, and even if you think you do, that's likely to change. I would rather risk being stuck in a narrow career that maximized potential income to student debt than being stuck somewhere I once thought I really loved with limited resources to make my way out. Because the options to pivot my career afterward favor the former. It might seem like this argument purports that money engenders happiness, and that's exactly what I'm saying. No, it's really not what I'm trying to convey. But how you want to approach job flexibility is prudent to consider because the wrong degree can be an expensive mistake. Finally, one last thing to consider. You want to hear something crazy? About 80% of jobs are unlisted. 8 out of 10 jobs are obtained only through connections. You know how you think of applying to jobs as like going to Indeed and sending out your resume and cover letter? Those jobs represent 20% of the market. The rest are jobs made for individual people or positions filled by recommendations and personal connections. So however you decide to approach your degree, network. Talk to people in your industry. Get your name out there. Because you never know how you're going to land that first position, and once you do, your work experience will suddenly become way more relevant than school, which is often the only metric you've needed to worry about career-wise until now. And if you want to see how you can better apply yourself to your passions, check out this video.